In this video, we'll be talking about how to understand and optimize your Amazon advertising placements. Our guest today will be Ritu Java from PPC Ninja, which is a software tool as well as a service helping to manage advertising, Amazon advertising and DSP campaigns for brands of 6, 7, and 8-figure size. And this session is part of SellerFest online virtual event, which is sponsored by 3 companies. The first one is Carbon6, which is a suite of tools for Amazon sellers, which helps to optimize and streamline any aspect of Amazon business. Check the link below to see what tools they offer. Another company which is sponsoring the session is Getida. They are Amazon FBA auditing company, and they help to maximize FBA reimbursements for sellers of any size. You can find below the link to their offer and their website. And last but not least, Quartile is a artificial intelligence powered advertising optimization platform that helps sellers and brand owners to maximize their potential on e-commerce. You'll find the link below in the description. And this session I'm hosting together with Lisette. She works with different Amazon brands. Hi, Lisette.
Hi, Augustus. Great to be back here, and also welcome our next guest, Ritu, here. So, hi, Ritu.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
So, before we go to today's presentation, we already know you, but many of our viewers might not. So, could you first please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Ritu Java, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of PPC Ninja. And we are a North American-based company. We provide software for agencies and brands, as well as services for 6, 7, and 8-figure sellers in the advertising space for sponsored ads and DSP. Today, I'm really excited to be talking about how to optimize your campaign placements. So yeah, like I mentioned, today's topic is optimizing your advertising campaign placements, and basically I'll be showing, what these different, campaign placements are, why you should optimize them, and how this is one of probably the lesser known ways of making sure that you're not wasting money and you're basically channeling your budgets to the best opportunities that you can find on Amazon, right? So let's first talk about, what are these placements and what kind of levers do we have at our disposal. So to explain this, I'm going to just take the help of, this visual here for sponsored product ads. And this is basically the 3 types of categories that Amazon refers to when they say placements, right? So there's 3 different areas of Amazon's platform that are bundled in here somewhere, right? So let's talk about each of them. So the first placement or collection of places where you can see ads is called top of search. And top of search is basically the space above the fold. The first thing that you see when you type something into the search bar, you will get, some ads showing up. And so those ads above the fold are referred to as top of search. Then we come to product pages. These are, of course, the product detail pages, right? On the product detail pages, you can find hundreds and hundreds of ads. You might think, well, but I don't see those many. But actually, there's carousels that go scrolling, horizontally. So you can actually horizontally scroll through multiple ads and keep discovering new products. I have seen these scroll pages go up to 300 pages, which means there's that many ads. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 or 8 that are visible, and then so many more that are not visible. But if people scroll through, those are all ads, right? So those are the product pages placements. And then the third bucket of placements is known as rest of search. So it's almost like, anything that doesn't fit into top of search or product pages is rest of search. But the way Amazon describes it is, this is anything or any ad that you see on page 1 that is below the fold, and any subsequent pages like page 2, page 3, page 4, all of those are clubbed together as rest of search. Now, why did Amazon divide up the top of search and rest of search? Well, the answer is that, most of the sales actually happen above the fold in top of search, right? So one of the statistics that I've come across is that 60% or above of all sales on Amazon happen on page one. So that's why everybody wants to be on page one. But even within page one, almost 60 or 70% of those sales happen above the fold on top of search. So you can imagine how important the top of search is compared to page 2 and page 3. So it's like the best place to bury a product is on page 2 and so on, because people won't go there. Shoppers are not able to distinguish between a regular ad versus a normal listing, right? They think it's the same and they will just click on it. So that's why people want to be more visible on top of search, so that they can get people to click into their ad and then buy their products. So one thing to note is that when you're bidding on a keyword, you don't really know where that ad will show up for that keyword. Will it show up on top of search? Will it show up on product pages? Or will it show up on rest of search? You don't know that. Amazon knows that. But what we do know is that if you bid differently, on these 3 placements, or each of these placements will have a different kind of bid on it, you can actually move up from rest of search to product pages is of course different, but from rest of search to top of search, you can actually move up with this amazing thing called a multiplier. So your base bid might remain $1 per click, for example, but with the multiplier, you can actually tell Amazon, hey, if there's an opportunity for me to go up from the bottom of first page to the top of first page, then do it. I'm willing to pay that extra. So imagine this is almost like standing in a line to get hot dog or something, and let's say somebody told you that you could pay extra to jump the line and go to the head of the line. This is something like that. It is like a shortcut to visibility if you allow Amazon the ability to bid your base bid up. So how does Amazon provide that multiplier? Well, they give you the opportunity to bid anywhere between 1% to 900% over and above your base bid. So a 900% multiplier on $1 would basically mean that your $1 bid could, in theory, become $10, right? So 1 is your base and then 900% over that. So 1 plus 9, it's $10 per bid. So that's how you can use these multipliers to move up to more important placements. However, it's not given that, because you're, paying so much to reach the top of search, that this will actually convert better for you, or it'll be as profitable as other placements for you. So that's where the fun part starts. Yeah, that's where you want to look at your data to decide whether it's worth it for you to move up into the top of search or not. And also same thing for product pages. With product pages, the line that I was talking about is actually in the form of this horizontal scroll bar, and you want to skip to the head of that so that you're more visible, right? So that's the way the placement modifiers work. Now, there have been studies done by many companies saying that the highest conversion rate actually happens on top of search, right? That's because, people see your ad, they click into it, and they're likely to think that this is Amazon's choice or Amazon's recommendation. And they're likely to, if everything is fine with your listing, they're likely to go ahead with their purchase. Whereas some of the other placement, the conversion rates are not that high because people are still looking around, they're not decided, they're researching, they're going to page 2 and page 3, or they're going to a product page and scrolling right and finding something that is not visible right up at the top. That's when you know that your conversion rates may not be as good as top of search. So there's this balance of conversion rate, ACoS at each of these things, and the cost per click, like whatever you're paying per click to be visible beyond what you have bid at your base level. So let me at this point actually show you what this looks like on a real Amazon page. So this is a real Amazon page where I've put in a keyword here. And as you can see when I scroll, or actually the first thing that I see is this ad, which is a sponsored brand ad. And then I see 4 ads: sponsored, 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 sponsored. Now, if I were looking for eyeliners for women, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to pick from one of these. Like, if this satisfies me, I'm going to click into it. I'm familiar with L'Oreal. I may not be familiar with this, but I look at the price and say, okay, this looks okay. Oh, there's a discount on this, maybe okay. So you'll click into this and you'll buy it. This is top of search and the power of top of search. All right, so I've just shown you sponsored product ads. Let's talk about sponsored brand ads, because even with sponsored brand ads, you have placements, which you may not realize, but they're there. So what are the two placements for sponsored brand ads? These are called top of search and below top of search. Those are the only two buckets that Amazon has defined for sponsored brand ads. So in top of search, you can see that you have a full-blown ad. It takes up the entire width of your search results page. It shows up very prominently at the very top of the top, and it has a nice big lifestyle photo. It has a few SKUs that are visible here that people could click into. But it's basically, one of the great ways to appeal to your audience through the visual itself. Like you're using a visual of a product in use. So it's got like a real kind of appeal to it that you want to click on. But if you look at the below the search placement, this placement may not be as appealing, because you might have a limited set of details that that Amazon has kind of compressed into this like this format. And what it says is that it's brands related to your search, and then it says sponsored here. I can see the logo. I can see what the kind of headline is, and I can see one of the SKUs that has been advertised. Alternatively, you could also see a full-blown lifestyle photo that looks like this. That could also be part of your below the top of search layout. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm on this page, right? I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And here you see a different version of the same thing that I was showing you, right? Here it is a little bland looking, but it has the headline in it. Whereas here you actually have the visual showing and no headline unless you scroll or hover over it. When you hover over it, you will see the headline, right? So these are two layouts. You don't get to pick which one Amazon is going to show your ad in. But the thing is, what you can have control over or can see is the data. Does it convert well at below top of search or not? So let's get into that. Let's look at the data and try to analyze whether these placements are, can be altered or not. So let me just go into adjusting placements and talk about how you can change your multipliers on these placements and how you can get the most out of your PPC. So there's a few different ways you can make adjustments to these placements so that you get the most out of it. And the first way, of course, is using the advertising console, right? For sponsored product placements, you can find this data within your campaign itself. So if you click into a campaign and you look to the left, there is an area that says placements. You click into that, and then you can see your placement performance. So this shows there is top of search, there's product pages, there's rest of search, and there's two bid adjustments or multipliers for the top of search and product pages. There is no bid adjustment for rest of search at this point. And now this data, you can analyze this data and you can look at it and say, okay, well, in the product pages placement, I got like 81,000 impressions over this date range. And my ACoS was only 2.26%, which is great, right? So it looks like the profitability is there. However, the reach may not be there. Oh, sorry. The reach in terms of conversions may not be there. Not those people who are on product pages, they may not convert as well. So I was just mentioning earlier that the conversion rate may not be that great. So, however, you can see that the profitability of this placement is could be leveraged. You could say, okay, if it's going at 2.26% ACoS, I have room to grow. So why not try to show myself more or my ads more on product pages? What I would do in this situation is I would look at this 175% bid adjustment and increase it. I would say go up to 200% this week, and I can check again next week. And if it's still going good with the ACoS still really good, I will bump it up by another 25%. In fact, this is the method that we use at our agency. Every week we go in and we bump up the best placements by 25%, because you don't want to get crazy about this. Like you could quickly lose money if you just jump from 175 to 900% just because it's 2.26% ACOS. You want to inch your way up. So that's what I would do. And this one also is doing quite okay with the 12.87% ACOS. I don't mind increasing this as well. So I can do that too. So these two things can be adjusted with the UI. Next, let's look at sponsored brands placement. How do you adjust sponsored brands placement? So what a lot of people don't know is that sponsored brands actually get this automated bidding setting, which is by default it's on, which means Amazon has control over how these the bids are adjusted on these two placements. However, if you want to take things into your hands, into your control, what you can do is you can turn this off, turn off automated bidding. Then it gives you two options. One is to increase, the other is to decrease the placement modifiers for placements that are not top of search. So there's no adjustment you can do for top of search, but you can make adjustments to the other placements, right? So you can go up to 99% increase or decrease for these placements. And Amazon explains here that a 40% decrease on a $5 bid would become $3, right? So that's how much you would then bid for those placements. This is great because now you can look at your data and say which campaigns you want to kind of suppress, any kind of wastage. Like you can suppress the showing up of your ad in those other placements by applying a decrease multiplier, right? So that will save you some, wasted spend. So I would recommend definitely looking at your campaign data to find that out. So how do you actually do it with, in bulk? Because obviously this is going to be manual. If you start doing it one by one, it could get pretty cumbersome. So I'm going to show you the second method, which is adjusting placements using bulk files. With bulk files, you want to actually download two reports to take care of both sponsored brands and sponsored products. So those two reports are, number one, your placement report, and number two is your bulk file, right? Those are the two things. So let me show you how I would do that. In the reports section of your advertising console, you want to go into sponsored brands here, and then here in the report type, sorry, I want to switch to sponsored brands. And then in the report type, you want to pick campaign placements, this one, right? And then just select it for the last however many days. You can do it 65 days or 30 days, whatever date range you want to pick. So that would be the first report you want. The second report you want is your bulk file. And so with bulk file, which is basically in the sponsored ads section, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you download the bulk file for a substantial date range, like maybe 30 days, 60 days, and then make sure that your placements data for campaigns is available. So that's the part that we will need. So don't exclude it. Here, the option is to exclude. So you want to make sure that this is unchecked. You don't want to exclude it. You actually want this data. And then you would pick up sponsored products and you would pick up sponsored brands. So we just need these two. I mean, even if you did sponsored, I'm excluding, opposite. So you don't want to exclude any of this except for the sponsored display, because you don't need sponsored display data. Sponsored display doesn't have any use for us here because we're not allowed to control placement modifiers for sponsored display, right? So with these two unchecked and with the campaign placement data for campaigns unchecked, you can download that report and then you can basically look at your placement data and modify it. So back to the slides. So you've done those two, you've downloaded it. And now I'm just going to show you a visual first, and then I'm actually going to show you the Excel file. So this is your sponsored brands placement report, the first report that you downloaded. And here in column F, you have placement types, and there's only 2 placement types. Remember, there's top of search and there's other placements. So here you want to do, what you want to do here is uncheck top of search, because you can't do anything with it. You can't modify the placement modifier there. But for other placements, you do want to see how they are performing, right? So you let that be selected. Then you look at your total ACoS, right? This column. And this will show you the range of ACoS for all your campaigns. So these are the campaigns, right? For each campaign, for other placements, how is the performance? As you can see, there's a range. There's quite a range. There's some campaigns that are performing at 0.5% ACoS, which is quite good. And then on the other extreme, there is one campaign that is performing at 92% ACoS for that other placement. So obviously, you want to optimize by picking up the ones that are terrible, like the top 3. The others look okay, I guess. Here, you want to pick up these 3 campaigns, and then you want to go into your bulk file and change the placement modifier for other placements. So I'll show you that in a live example, but this is how you would basically do it. And then you would make adjustments to your multipliers and then upload the bulk file back to Amazon. So let's now jump into the actual Excel, and I'm going to show you what those 2 files were. So the first one is the sponsored brands campaign placements. Here is the selector where you pick other placements, and this is your total ACoS or advertising cost of sales column. And what I'll do here is I would basically pick the worst campaigns, pick up the campaign names, and then you want to do a VLOOKUP to match these campaigns with your bulk file, because ultimately you're going to prepare your bulk file and then upload that. You're not going to do anything here. You're just using this view to pick up the worst performers, and then you're going to go into your into your bulk file, make the changes there, and upload that file, right? So that's how you go about it. Now let's go to the actual bulk file. So here it is. Now in the bulk file, there's 2 tabs because we allowed Amazon to download sponsored products and sponsored brands campaign. Oops, did I? Just 1 second. Sorry about that. Right. So I'm in my sponsored brands campaign, and I have my campaign names here, right? I can do a VLOOKUP using a temporary placement here. I can just create another tab and just do the matching. And now I'm going to focus on columns Q and R. Column Q is saying what your bid optimization type is, whether it's automatic or manual, right? And then column R is saying what your bid multiplier is. So basically what we're doing is, once we've identified the campaigns to change, you want to just change this from auto to manual, right? You change this here, and then you want to specify your bid multiplier, which in this case is, let's say, minus 99%, right? So you could either copy one of the existing values or just type it in yourself. Just want to make sure that it's negative if you want to lower your bids, and it'll be just positive if you want to increase your bids. So that's how you would kind of make adjustments here. So let me just copy a few of these to show you what I would eventually do. So this is what it would look like. And then we're done with optimizing sponsored brands, right? This is the sponsored brand section. Now let's move over to sponsored products. And for optimizing your sponsored products, you're going to go into this other tab for sponsored products, right? And as you can see here, they provide this information in a much better format than they do for sponsored brands. You can see placements here. You can see placements top, and you can see placements product pages. These are your 2 placements. And you see percentage, and this is your modifier, right? So here, fortunately, the ACoS is visible right here, so you don't need to do any fancy VLOOKUP, none of that. You can just look at your ACoS, maybe filter on the ones that are extremely bad, and maybe lower it if you can. I mean, of course, you can't do negative bid multipliers in sponsored products. You can't do minus anything. You can only increase it. So if it is high, then you can bring it low. Like for example, this one where there's 74% ACoS and it's 100% multiplier, I might want to just decrease this to 1, right? So that might be one way of going about it. And then for the ones that are really good, I'm not seeing one that is really good here, but let's pretend this was a good ACoS for us, 32%. I might just increment it here to 550% for this week, and then next week I'll increment it further and so on. So with that, I have basically prepped my bulk file now, and I can just save this and then just upload it back to Amazon, going back here and then just upload that file back. So with these steps, you're done. You're kind of done with placements if you're using the bulk file method, right? So that's the second method I showed you. And then the third method, of course, is adjusting placements using a software. So, I mean, there are softwares out there that can help you. This is just one screenshot from within our software, where you can see we have a view called campaign placements. And in this view, you can basically look at the placements, and you can also set a filter on ACoS greater than or less than some amount and find those placements, and then just double click into your placement modifier or do a bulk action and change the modifier for all of those placements that match to this criteria of less than 10% ACoS and at least one order, because you don't want to make a decision just based on one-offs or two-offs, right? So that's how software can help you do this very fast without having to download, upload any of that stuff. Yeah, so basically those are your methods. You're finding low ACoS placements, optimizing, finding high ACoS placements and optimizing, and basically repeating this, putting it into your SOP for going there every single week and optimizing further. We have seen that this method is not used very often. People are, first of all, they're afraid of placement modifiers because they don't understand what it will do to the outcomes, right? You don't know, because there's a bunch of keywords in a campaign. These placement modifiers are applicable at the campaign level. So whatever your performance is for that campaign, everything gets impacted, right? If you change the multiplier. So most people are afraid. However, what we found is that if you look for the extremes, like if you look for the worst performers and the best performers, you have a lot of opportunity to optimize. The ones in the middle, you might take a decision and say, okay, I'm not going to touch this, because if I change my multiplier, then it's possible that the campaign performance becomes erratic. Don't do it in that case. What I'm recommending is to go and look for your best and the worst and optimize those, right? Because let's say like I was showing you earlier, if your ACoS is within 5% or so for a placement, why wouldn't you take a risk and say, hey, increase it? Even if it's just a little bit, by 25%, you will find that over time, you would have, kind of occupied that spot. Like your ads will then show more and more and more on those placements for a really profitable ACoS, and nobody can budge you out of that place, because you would basically own that spot, right? And that's what we do for our ranking campaigns. Our ranking campaigns are basically single keyword campaigns where we find gems, we double down on that, we keep increasing the multiplier or even the bid in that case, and keep keep optimizing for top of search. So those are some of the ways in which you can find opportunities where your mind might not have gone there. You might have just been playing with bids, and bids alone aren't adjusting bids isn't bad, but that's not enough, and we know that Amazon is now going to start releasing more keyword level placement information, which would give you even more control. So this is definitely a skill that you want to master right now and kind of get your head wrapped around placement modifiers and how to optimize and good stuff like that, because once you start doing it, this will differentiate you from your competition, and you'll get one more way to fine tune tune the outcomes, which is really hard to do these days, because there's just too much competition and CPCs are just going up. So if you can find even one or two gems with the way you can optimize your campaigns, it's totally worth it, right? So that's it. Just want to thank you guys for your attention, and feel free to ask questions, or also follow us, ask questions on this email address, or follow me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed your presentation. So if you, as a viewer, enjoyed it as well, then definitely hit like to this video. And now the floor is yours, Augustus. I know you want to talk about one more special thing.
Yeah, so this session is part of SellerFest virtual event, where we invited 25 experts to present, just like Ritu did, and share some strategies and tips for Amazon sellers. But in addition to that, we also asked every expert to record additional video or provide additional content, which we packed into a VP package. And you can find the link below in the description to visit the VP package description. And here you will see the same speakers which you are seeing during this event, but all of this content is additional, which is not published on our channel. And if you upgrade, you can get different in-depth explanations, for example, how to use flat files, strategies for your pictures to be more visible or more clickable on the product listing. And I'm searching for Ritu's session. So Ritu, what did you share in your additional video?
Yeah, so basically I did Amazon video ad step-by-step tutorial. So, video ads, as you guys know, are really, they're really effective, because they take up like 4 times the real estate of any other ad type or any other listing. And they're also very good with their click-through rate and conversion rate. And a lot of people don't go into video creation because they think it's too hard. Well, in this video that Augustus is showing, I actually show you the step-by-step of how to build a video ad in almost no time. And it just requires a few few tools and a few details that you need to be aware of, and then you're off to the races. You can create your video ad yourself. So that's what my session was about.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. And you will find the link below in the description if you would decide to invest a little bit and upgrade. And now it's time for a few questions.
Yes, and the first question, Ritu, for you would be, does Amazon show ads differently for all customers, so that if I see my ad on top of search, then others might not actually see it there?
So basically, to answer your question, does Amazon show ads differently? Yes, it shows differently for each customer, each shopper, because there's so many factors that go into displaying ads for someone. One is proximity to the warehouse. For example, if I'm located in New York, and New York warehouses don't have the product that I'm looking for, then Amazon will try to not show that ad or not show that organic listing to me, because it won't be able to fulfill that order in time. So it will do things like that. And then the other thing that Amazon will also look at is, have I, as a shopper, shown any kind of past behaviors that dictate that this ad should be relevant to me. So there's relevance that comes from my past versus your past. You might be into sports and I might be into cosmetics, and so there's that there too. So definitely the ads that show up for each person will be different on top of search.
Okay, good. So we have one viewer asking, where is top of search? Can you show us? And actually, a little bit after the question, you actually showed where it is, but maybe you can just add a couple of words, because maybe you mean page 1 as top of search. Is it also available on the other pages, or is it only on page 1?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen again. Yeah, so when I type anything into the search bar, I will see some ads here. So this section here of sponsored product ads, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 are the top of search for sponsored products. And this ad here is the top of search for sponsored brand ads, right? So that's basically the difference between sponsored brands and sponsored products. But together, this is top of the search results page on page 1 only. Top of search is only for page 1. What is rest of search? If I go down, I'll see a lot of ads here. I'll see some ads in this page. Let me find one for you. Yeah, so see this says sponsored. These are called rest of search because they're not on the top, right? And if I scroll down further and I go to the next page, what I see on page 2 is also not top of search. It is also part of rest of search. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And also happy. Thank you for answering my question. So let's take another one. So Jeff is asking, what is the percentage of top of search versus other placements in impressions, clicks, and conversion?
Yeah, great question. So this will depend, on the ad itself. Like each ad has a collection of keywords, right? And depending on which keywords you've picked for that campaign, let's say you pick really short tail keywords that have a lot of reach. For example, let's say the word makeup or something like eye makeup even, which is a pretty broad word. It's not specific enough. That is likely to be, as a broad match, is likely to have a lot more impressions at the top of search as compared to, let's say, another campaign that has a very long tail keyword or a list of exact matches that say eye makeup for 50 plus or something like that. So the collection of keywords that make up your campaign have a huge part to play in deciding how visible those those ads are, what is the percentage of impressions. Hence, to answer your question, in terms of percentage of top of search versus other placement, it depends and it's case by case for each campaign type. And so I gave you one example, and I'm going to show that again. If you allow me to share my screen here again, Lisette.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I go back to my example here, you can see here that top of search placement for this campaign, right, brought me 4,232 impressions, whereas it brought me 81,000 impressions on product pages, right? And for the rest of search, this one for some reason just got 2,000 and some. So is this the same ratio for all campaigns? No, absolutely not. Every single campaign has, plays out in a different way. So you've got to have this mindset of data first. If the data is showing that in this case, the product pages did great, it had the best impressions, then this is the one you want to keep bumping up, right? You don't want to keep bumping up this if, let's say, the ACoS starts to deteriorate. You don't want to keep bumping up even if your top of search is giving you orders, because you're eating into your profitability. So the mindset shift that I'm encouraging everyone to have here is look at each campaign one at a time. But in general, if I were to just generalize and say which ones would you get, better results in, I would say try to get more visibility on top of search as much as possible. Unless your ACoS just doesn't allow it, try to get more top of search visibility so that trains the algorithm to kind of give you, points for being relevant for certain keywords. Yeah.
Okay, very good insights. So let's take another one. So when launching a new product with 0 reviews, should I try to get the best ad placements, which also cost the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. Depends on what your goals are. Like if your goal is to, rank within a certain period of time, let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, whatever your goals are, based on that, you can decide how aggressive you want to be. But in general, I would say if you want the most visibility and the most eyeballs, then definitely try top of search as your mechanism for, especially for certain keywords that you want to rank for. You won't do the strategy across all your campaigns. You might want to pick and choose. For example, when we launch a new product, we create a bunch of ranking campaigns that we apply a pretty substantial top of search multiplier, so that we are always showing up on top of search for those keywords. They are single keyword campaigns, so we show up for those on top of search. Whereas for some of the other keywords, we might not be as aggressive on top of search. We might be, willing to be moderate about it, so that we can also balance out profitability with, some of the other goals that we have. So it really depends on your goals. I would say, create like a variety of campaigns, some of which are focused on top of search and some of which are going after other placements, so that you can find the ones that work best for you, because there's no like one size fits all for each person.
Okay, very nice. So Mohammed is asking, what are the best cost-effective strategies to get and stay in top of search?
Wow, I love that question. Yeah, I think the best cost-effective strategy is to look for gems wherever you can find them. So, like I was explaining earlier, that at our agency, we have an SOP that says, every week, go into your campaign placements and look for gems wherever you're seeing low ACoS and good conversions. Double down on the top of search multiplier, because this would give you an edge. It will kind of strengthen your foothold in top of search, and then you can keep improving on that week after week after week by incrementally going up in your bids or your bid multiplier by, let's say, 25%. We do it at 25%. You can pick whatever you like. If you want to really jump ahead to 200, 300%, that's fine. You have room to grow until 900%. That's the max that Amazon allows. And similarly, you want to do the reverse as well. If you're not really doing great at certain placements, in terms of visibility or in terms of ACoS or conversion rate, you can also start to inch back down if that's the case. But I guess to answer your question, which is you want to stay on top of search, the only way is to keep inching up. Don't dramatically increase your bids and your multipliers, but inch your way up so that you can stay there, outbidding all the others that are looking at the same keywords.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the viewer said, wow, you truly are a ninja on PPC. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. And as the last question, I take something that is not connected with today's topic, but is still important for Amazon sellers. So can you share any insights about DSP ads, let's say for sellers who are perhaps not using it yet? What are some key takeaways for them?
Yeah, that's great. So DSP is, basically, for anybody who doesn't know, DSP is demand side platform. It is Amazon's platform to reach off Amazon audiences. This is one way to kind of send traffic either to Amazon listings or to your own website or to any other place on the internet. For example, you can send traffic to a YouTube page if you like. You can send traffic to many pages using demand side platform. What DSP is most known for is upper funnel tactics, which basically mean that you're building new to brand audiences or creating awareness about your products on the internet, anywhere that a shopper is viewing content or interacting with content. You can show your ad on those pages and lead them back to Amazon or lead them to your website, for example. So that is what DSP is known for. However, a lot of people also use it for remarketing, right? Remarketing is really powerful with DSP because you can actually, precisely target people who have purchased your product in the past, let's say 180 days, and people who have not purchased your product in the past 90 days. So you can exclude audiences, you can do negative audiences, things like that. And you can go after segments of look back windows very precisely. You can also do, you can also run your ads on TV, which is through streaming ads or OTT as they're called. So that's another way to kind of show up when people are viewing their TVs at night, or you're using connected TV, your ad can show up there. So this DSP is like a whole different presentation. But if you had any more specific question about DSP, I'm happy to answer. Typically, I use DSP for new to brand audience acquisition as well as remarketing. And I can also build audiences based on my competitors' ASINs, and say if anybody's interacted with my competitors' ASINs and have not purchased yet, then I can show my ad to them and drive consideration that way. And so I can get those people into my funnel and then take them through my funnel and convert them that way.
Very good. Thank you so much. And we also had a comment, amazing, thank you. So yeah, it was great to have you here back with us again.
And thank you a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Can one more time you remind us what PPC Ninja does and how you help Amazon sellers?
Yes, so PPC Ninja is a software and services company. So we have PPC optimization software, which you can automate. You can automate your bids, and I showed you a little, screenshot of from our software, which basically shows that you can also modify things in bulk, and you don't need to download any reports from Amazon. Everything is synced. So it's a really powerful tool that is being used by agencies and brands. And on the services side, we manage people's ad accounts for sponsored ads as well as DSP. We also do Google ads and Walmart ads and fun stuff like that. So if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to us, I've already provided my details, support@ppcninja.com, or you can follow me on LinkedIn, my full name, RITUJAVA.
Perfect. And we have another thank you message from Kaushik. And also we will put the link below in the description to PPC Ninja, or it is there already. And of course, if you enjoyed the content, read to share, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you don't agree with anything, like and subscribe. All right. Thank you very much, Ritu and Lisette.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, everybody. See you around. Bye.
And now I would like to invite you to watch other video with Ritu, where she is explaining how to optimize Amazon PPC campaigns using a brand analytics report.